I was like, Debbie, you're working more than. Wow, this is getting good. That is not a. I didn't expect that. I mean, just. This is a hard group here today. Flex. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Right, I tried to come like, everywhere. Yeah, he was kind of like answered. Reddit, do you have any questions? Lots of questions. Tell you who's gonna ask.
Following her, they did it.
That's my part. My part's like.
You haven't done it on Reddit. Have you done this three? Not this. Oh, yeah. I did that weird.
You have any questions on
And
what
then,
we changed?
and then we'll talk about only what we've changed.
Yeah. Just to make sure you read it.
No, this is normal. This is it. This is what- Give them. As a budget. Oh, yeah, that's like, that's what it is. This is the opposite. What other languages? For yours? No, but I'm saying for Steph.
Oh, yeah. Motorized.
Virgos.
No,
I just. No, I looked all like you'll see. It's still. Like. I've seen it.
Oh, no. That's that window was. You're watching there. But any.
I know you like. But hold back. No, stop. It's like you're just recording. Oh my God, he's listening. Listening.
we just get the books on there now.
I tried not to call you.
Oh, yeah. Every time I say that, I want to get that look right there.
What?
What are you admitting to,
Let's talk
HR?
about it. Where can I get some?
They were just, they were a little squishy, but they weren't slimy, and I was like, and I was so, and I normally,
You let it fly.
I was so hungry, Russ.
You did.
Sorry. Growing them. Full on.
like me. Just that. After that.
Oh my.
Mix it up. We're not. Yeah. Oh, that was.
I joked that. I'm not thought I was going to. That's my thing.
That's, yeah.
You know, I know exactly what I want. And then
What do you mean? What we are
you're my community members. Educational partners.
yeah, I do. Employee. Check all the boxes. Because I was going to say that.
Oh yeah, I would try it.
It's working, clearly. You have some things on the agenda.
I'm engaged.
First, it's like, there's crap, you're crapping, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I was like,
There are some affordable.
don't know. Never mind, just joking.
Just kidding, we're done. It's me.
Online watching the debacle. Yeah, he was in all. I remember what I was very. Just he's like offering. He's like. Like it's the law. Because they were adopted the same.
In a trade.
Well, that's not like
Before you go up.
but they were.
Yeah, that's a
I've
never been that sick in my entire life.
our mom.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank
You're
you.
like our board mom.
Thank you, mother.
She is the board mom.
She's the mother.
You are all on live mics.
Oh,
I
hi.
am not. Nobody heard me.
Hi, Felicia's. Our closed session, apologies for the delay at 6:43. We're going to go ahead and start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land currently occupied by Washington Unified School District as traditional home of the Patwin people. These sovereign people have been caretakers of the area since time immemorial, and despite centuries of genocide and occupation, the Patwin people continue as vibrant and resilient, federally recognized and unrecognized tribes, bands, and rancherias. Today, we honor and recognize our Patwin tribal neighbors for their contributions as the caretakers of the Sacramento Valley and honor their sustained existence. With their blessing and continued guidance, Washington Unified School District seeks to provide an accessible, equitable, and supportive institution of learning and experience. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, will Senor Billy Duba lead us? Senor.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. And now announcements. Oh, I'm sorry. First pledge. And now roll call. Do I have Vice President Castro?
Here.
Clerk Hunt? Here. Trustee Wong?
Here.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez?
Present?
And I too am present. Items, announcement of items that happened in closed session. Education Code, Section 48918, Student Discipline Case Number 202501, information received. Government Code, Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators, WSDA, CSEA, and Management, information was received. Government Code, Section 54956.9, Subdivision D2, Significant Exposure to Litigation, Tort Claim Number 662633, information was received. Government Code, Section 54956.9, Subdivision D2, Significant Exposure to Litigation, Tort Claim Number 651774, information was received. And Government Code, Section 54957, Public Employee Superintendent Evaluation, information was received. And now on to the approval of the agenda. I believe we have a few modifications.
Yes, President Coffey, I would like to recommend that we move action item number 10 from this agenda and move it to a future board meeting.
All right. Although, wait, vote, right?
I also have a change,
Oh, another
President
change?
Coffey.
Okay,
Can I move from the consent agenda to action, 2A, the approval of the Principal Early Education Center job description, from 2A consent to action?
all right. I have moving consent, move to action 2A, so that will become number 10, and then we're moving the current number 10 to a future board agenda item. Do I have any other items?
No.
No. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Vice President Castro,
I second with the amendments.
and second by Trustee Wong with the amendments. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too say aye. All right, and now moving on to our association reports. Let's go ahead and start with CSEA. Ms. Ruth?
Good evening. Make sure that's on, okay.
board president, trustees, superintendent, staff, community members. Happy start of summer. I hope you are all able to rest and relax soon. For my last report of the 25-26 school year, I would like to thank and recognize those classified employees who retired this year. Many retirees were already recognized during the Employee Awards and Recognition Night, which was amazing and wonderful. I love that so much, but some have retired following that. For those who were listed on agendas as retirees after January, I would like to take a moment to recognize them. Kathy Batson, Michelle Adams, Sharon Parrish, Monique Wind, Elizabeth Brokaw, Aaron Smart, Victoria Ariano, Hermelinda Duran, and Natalie Rybakoff. If I missed any names, I apologize. The individuals I mentioned and all our retirees this year represent decades of dedication to this district. They are valued CSEA Riverview 168 members and have served generations of students and hundreds of employees in this district. They are a part of our community and have helped strengthen our collective vision and purpose. I often think about retirement myself and wonder what people will say and how I will feel. I don't have any answers right now, although I am counting the days. So there's some years left, but I know, but I'm still counting. I don't have any answers right now, but I know this. I hope that if you're retiring, you feel accomplished and valued. I hope that you know I envy you, like many others do as well, and hope you know that we will not forget about you and your contributions. Thank you for your time tonight and continued recognition of those who dedicate many years and some many decades to the Washington Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have a WSDA report. They were unable to come or have a representative available, so we are going to go ahead and move on to our public comments. Do we have any public comments?
None received.
I'm going to go ahead and forego reading the disclaimer of our public comments since we do not have one or any at the moment. Okay, moving on to our public hearing. First up, public hearing for the Washington Unified School District Local Control Accountability Plan, Autry Streak. Never mind, Stephanie.
Oh, perfect. Good evening. I am not Autry Streak. I am Stephanie Grote. I'm the Director of Compliance and Accountability, and Billy Duba is here as well, as he has a slide to present in regard to the LCAP public hearing. So good evening, President Coffey, Dr. Hildreth, colleagues, community. Hold on. There we go. The purpose of this public hearing is to present and solicit recommendations and feedback from members of the public prior to the adoption of the Board of Trustees of the LCAP. This annual presentation is conducted in conjunction with the district's budget adoption process to ensure alignment between the LCAP goals, actions, services, and expenditures. The LCAP is aligned to all of the strategic plan's goals for student success, equity principles, and of course our 4 pillars. When we look at the LCAP is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures. It shares our story, and it includes the funds, but not all funds. The funds that are included within the LCAP are our supplemental concentration funds, our Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant funds, and some of the title funds. The LCAP development process serves 3 distinct but related functions. It serves to gather feedback from educational partners. It serves as a strategic planning document and tool, as well as the accountability to make sure that we meet compliance for all standards and ensuring transparency of outcomes. Our LCAP process starts with our students. We look at the successes and progress and also look at the identified needs. We then gather educational partner input and engagement through a variety of ways. We look at our goals, actions, and metrics that are tied to our strategic planning. We look at our expenditures and do a budget overview, and then of course look at our improved services or our positive student outcomes to ensure that we are in alignment. Tonight we are presenting the draft, as it is considered a draft until formally adopted. And the LCAP for the 26-27 school year has all of these components. This evening, we're not going page by page through the entire document, but we are giving an overview of the sections and are here to answer any questions. So the first section we will look at is the budget overview for parents.
Thank you. On the budget overview for parents slide, we look at the total revenue of the district. The general fund revenue is $140 million for the 26-27 school year. Of that, $140 million, which is represented by the large circle on the left, $101 million is from the local control funding formula, or LCFF funding, and that's represented by the smaller circle on the right. And of that $101 million, 18.7 million is from a supplemental and concentration grant, and that's the small little triangle in the small circle. Those funds are generated by the enrollment of our high needs students, so our foster youth, our English learners, and our low income students. Okay.
You're still out. Next slide. The next section that we're going to talk about is the plan summary. This is a fairly lengthy part of the LCAP, and it does include a lot of reflection. It starts with the general information about our district, talks about the geography, the enrollment changes, school information, and any recent community challenges or changes that have occurred. It also has a section called reflections. We've presented information on the dashboard, but it is also within the section of the LCAP that it is covered, as well as it looks at the reflections of the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant funds. It also takes into consideration the technical assistance. There's information regarding how we are eligible for that assistance, including our geographic lead support that we are receiving. One of the sections within the plan summary that we have talked about before is our CSI, or Comprehensive Support for School Improvement, and we do not have any schools that meet eligibility for CSI. That's good. The next section looks at engaging educational partners. On this slide, what you can see is just an example of a screenshot of what that looks like. It's very small on the screen, but in the plan, it does look at all of the different ways that we engage with our school staff, including teachers, principals, administrators, other school personnel. There's a section that talks about how we communicate with our community as well, whether it be through our DLAC, our District English Language Advisory Committee. We have an LCAP Advisory Committee where we had meetings as well. And this section truly highlights the educational partners and the process for engagement, providing various ways for people to engage, including in-person meetings. There was a survey that was sent out. I hope everybody completed it. So there are a wide variety of ways in which we are gathering input from different groups of educational partners. With our LCAP goals, we still have and have had the 5 goals for the last 3 years. They are the same as that are in the strategic plan. This aligns the LCAP goals and the strategic plan and ensures the coherence and the unified direction of us achieving our goals as a district. The equity multiplier is not new. However, it does include a new school this year, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But currently within our equity multiplier goal, there are actions and metrics for WUVA, our virtual academy, YOLO, and Westfield. Also within the LCAP, we have our metrics and actions. The metrics identify the standard of measure used to determine the progress towards the goal. We use a lot of our required metrics, including things from the dashboard, which we have previously presented. Then we have our actions, which are something that is done to cause the expected outcome. So we're going to talk about the metrics and the actions and what those look like. When we're looking at the metrics, this again is just one example. This example is from Goal 4. This is also the example that we previously brought forward, so you've seen this before. The highlighted orange, peach color, where it says year 2 outcome as well as current difference from baseline. Those are the sections that have been updated for this LCAP. We have gone through whenever available and have updated those sections with that current outcome data, some of which was presented during the mid-year update. Some has then come out since then. Some has actually come out since we published this and will be updated when we bring this back to you in 2 weeks. The next section within the LCAP for each of our goals, we have the metrics, and then you have the actions. So this again is just one example. This is from Goal 2. It's Goal 2, Action 13. And within each of the LCAP actions, there's a goal analysis. So for the goal, we must provide a description of the overall implementation, looking at any differences. Were we able to do what we said we were going to do when we made this plan? What differences have we seen? Are there any differences within the budget that we need to explain as well? And then was it effective or ineffective? As well as what are we using to determine whether it was effective or not? And then we have any changes. So in that section, we describe any changes. When we look at the examples of the LCAP actions, many things came up as continued actions, such as continuing the support of intervention specialists and instructional coaches, continuing with professional development for all staff. You'll see that throughout our LCAP. Of course, our foster youth liaison support for other effective actions, and of the continued support for culture and climate across our school district. There are revised and new actions that are reflected within the LCAP. We did, thank you to our fiscal department and HR as well, have updated all of the costs for our personnel to reflect those new changes going forward. So that's where you'll see some changes from the previous year. We've looked at reallocation of funds based upon identified needs and the actual funds that were spent over the last year or over the last 2 years. So having those conversations, is this still needed? Are we using these funds appropriately and out of the right budget? And then the social workers were identified in the LCAP with the supplemental concentration funds. So I'm going to go to the next slide and explain that one a little bit more. So with the social workers, as the board had given feedback as well, in the 25-26 LCAP, there were 8 social workers that were serving our schools throughout WUSD. There were 5 funded through supplemental concentration that were identified within the LCAP. There were 3 funded through other funding sources. In the 26-27 LCAP, what is proposed is 9 social workers. So it would be 9 funded through the supplemental concentration funds. So the 8 that were there in 25-26 with an additional 1 to expand student mental health, wellness, and those family services. I previously mentioned the equity multiplier goal. This funding is based upon non-stability rates that are greater than 25% and the socioeconomically disadvantaged pupil rates that are also greater than 70%. We are required to have a separate goal for these evidence-based services and can only use the funds to support the schools and the students in which these funds were intended. This began in the 24-25 LCAP as was required. When we talk about our increased services for our foster youth, English learners, and low-income students, those are identified in the LCAP, some of them including for foster youth, as our dedicated liaison support, as well as targeted services for our foster youth. For our English learners, examples include staffing for the newcomer class to meet the unique needs of the students, as well as support materials for proficiency and multilingual celebrations. For our low income, we have assistance with our advanced placement syllabi literacy, recognizing that we want to reduce the barriers for students taking those exams, as well as transportation to ensure that students have access to education. The last section of the LCAP, almost the last section, has the action tables. There are 5 action tables that are highlighted here. This is an example. This is from the total planned expenditure table. These 5 tables are reviewed by not only myself, not only our fiscal department, but also YCOE, our county fiscal department does also review these in alignment with our budget reports that are submitted. So what are the next steps? So for our LCAP for this year, we are here, as stated before, to discuss and receive any feedback. We will be requesting the approval of the LCAP at the next meeting in conjunction with the budget, as well as then once approved, it will be sent to YCOE, who does or Yolo County Office of Education, who does the final review. And then once approved, it will be posted on our website. I do want to draw attention to next year, since we're at the beginning of summer. So during the 26-27 school year, we will continue to monitor and review the LCAP. But again, this is the next 26-27 will be the last year of the 3-year plan. So we will be developing a new 3-year plan.
All right. Are there any public comments? By the way, I forgot to hit the gavel. Okay, I did it now.
None received.
Received. Do you have any comments or questions from my fellow trustees? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for all of this information and all the work you do. I know that it is a lot and sometimes a moving target when they make changes. I just wanted to call out that I was excited that the LCAP now highlights tutoring across our sites, including at high school. And so that's a really exciting thing. We've heard needs from our community on that. And maybe this is too early, or maybe we need to ask when Assistant Superintendent Streak's here, but do you know if that'll be during the school day or after the school day?
I do not. So as we continue to develop that, it is within the LCAP, and as we put that together, we can bring that back to you and provide an update.
Perfect. Okay. And then the only other piece, and again, maybe this could be later information from us, from Director Tran or others, but I know it says an increase of services for our newcomer classes. And I would just be interested to know some of that data because, which of course this board has always talked about how important the newcomer center is. One thing that we have, seen kind of across our country is fewer students coming. Unfortunately, because of the immigration changes, fewer students are coming to us as newcomers. And so I'd just be interested to know the increase of staffing. What does that look like if our enrollment is not increasing, or what that means? So just feedback for us, but otherwise, thank you for all of the work.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Jackie.
Again, just appreciation for the additional social worker. I think we've been, and I think it's going to be at YOLO. Yes,
That's
yes,
what I was
it's at
gonna
YOLO.
ask.
So really, that's been something that I know this board has really focused on over time. So appreciate the ability to actually add additional support in a high needs. But overall, always fantastic. Always, it gets better and better. So appreciate your work on this.
No, that was it. I was said where.
Of course.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. One of the things that I heard you ask was like about tutoring. It may be something to offer also, like maybe a 0 period, like in the morning, because if kids are able to go before school because they have commitments after school, that might be another option as well. So something to look into.
Yeah, thank you.
And otherwise, that ends our hearing
Thank you.
on that part. Thank you. And now we're moving on to the hearing for Washington Middle College High School Local Control Accountability Plan. And then again.
Hi, good evening. I am here tonight with Principal Lane, so good evening. Again, we're still here. President Coffey, trustees, Dr. Hildreth, and tonight, the purpose of this public hearing is to present the local control accountability plan for Washington Middle College. Again, this is the third and final year of their LCAP as well. It is a little bit different as we are the ones that approve their LCAP, but also must hold a public hearing to receive feedback. So although Washington Middle College, they are also aligned to our strategic plan, and you'll see how the LCAP actually aligns to our goals within our strategic plan. I'm going to go fairly quickly through these. We're going to talk about the overview. It is a little bit different with the charter. The charter school's LCAP is separate from the charter petition. Both documents describe the goals, specific actions, and of course those outcomes for students and those identified groups of students. The LCAP does focus on the success and progress, the identified needs, the partner input, as well as the increased or improved services. The petition was submitted last year, so we're not going to talk about that. Oh, okay. Next page. Again, it is a draft. It has the same components that we have in our WUSD LCAP. The process is the same, including that educational partner input from their advisory. Yeah, Billy's going to do that. Billy likes the numbers.
I do. Okay, the budget overview for parents for Washington Middle College High School's LCAP. This slide is the revenue that school is receiving. $3.4 million in total revenue, represented by this big circle on the left. Of that $3.4 million, 3.1 of it is local control funding formula. And of that amount, $482,000 is generated by the high need students, the foster youth, English learner, and low income students. And all $482,000 of that is in their LCAP.
You will see that there are no federal funds here. It is because Washington Middle College does not generate the federal funds. However, they are allocated federal funds, Title I funds, and those are in their LCAP.
The first part of it is the plan summary again, which has the general information, description of our school, also the reflections of our annual performance. And we do not receive technical assistance or we do not receive CSI funds. The next one is a sample of our engaging educational partners. So you can see that we use a variety of processes, including meeting with our Sacramento City College partners on a monthly basis. And then we have 3 goals set. And again, this is the last year of the for these, and then we'll create a new one for the next 3 years. So it's college focus, equitable and positive environment, educational environment, and parent and community engagement. And then for goal 1, here's a couple of examples of our metrics that we use. We use our high school graduation rate, which we've continued to have 100%, and also our the AA degrees that our students complete. And this year, we actually had an increase to 15 AA degrees from our students. So we're pretty proud of that. And then we have an example of Goal 2, which is our professional development. And that would include all of our conferences from our MCNC, which is Middle College National Consortium. We focus on the design principles of the middle college, as well as our AVID and specific trainings for our teachers like English, math, science, and PE, and activities directors, and all of that is in that. And then we have an example of some of the actions for our foster youth, English learners, and low-income students, including our professional development. Academic counselor, we did add another one this year, so we have 2. Flexible structures, our labs, our college support classes, our AVID, school-wide, our college visits, and our transportation. And then action tables. Yeah, it's all the same. Ditto on what Stephanie said. And then our next steps, any feedback and then we'll get board approval, and then we will post it, and then we will create a new one for next year, or next 3 years. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Okay. Do I have any comments or questions from my fellow trustees?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I have a question on the budget overview for parents slide. Well, it's a general question. With the funding that Washington Middle receives in the LCAP, does that cover any of like the district office staffing, or does that all come out of the bigger LCAP? And this is, director, everything that's not at a site, I guess.
The supplemental and concentration portion of the funding, we don't take any from that for the
Okay.
district office staff. Of the other local control funding formula funding, we charge an indirect amount,
Okay.
which is a percent based on prior year expenditures.
Okay.
There's a calculation for that provided by the CDE, and we charge that amount to that program of the school, and the funding is
Okay.
sent to the district.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Sounds good. I
Thank
think
you.
that's the end of this one. Thank you. And now, time for the public hearing of Washington Unified School District 2026-2027 adopted budget. Monique Stovall. And Billy.
And Billy.
It's your day, Billy.
Oh. Slides. I know. Well, good evening. I'm joined with Billy Duba, who's up here again, for the presentation of our 2026-27 adopted budget. This is the public hearing, just like the LCAP was a public hearing. It's the opportunity to share the information for the public to provide, for the public to ask questions. We do anticipate that we will be back for consideration of the adoption of the 2026-27 budget on June 25. A lot of numbers there. Next slide. So how does the budget align with the strategic plan? It aligns with all parts of the strategic plan. Our strategic plan creates and is our priorities. Therefore, our budget reflects our priorities. Next slide. This slide is just a visual representation of our priorities. As shared previously, our budget reflects the priorities. Okay, great. I can change it on my own. Of course, we always share the annual budget cycle. I changed it this time. It's green instead of blue. But that cycle doesn't change. What it really represents is the continual budget monitoring that occurs throughout the year. A budget isn't static. We know that what we present today, it will change
because we'll get new enrollment information, we'll get new information about revenue and expenditures, we'll get information from the state. As you can see, today we're at June, the adopted budget, and then in just a few weeks, we'll have the enacted state budget, which will provide us more information that may affect our budget positively or negatively. And so it's a continual process, it's not static. So an overview of this evening is about transparency. It's about an overview of our fiscal situation. It's a preview to where we may be going. In tonight's presentation, it's also some actions that we need to take in order to make sure that we are able to support our students and staff financially from now and for years to come. We'll cover budget assumptions and enrollment. We'll cover the adopted budget overview. We'll talk about multi-year projections. We'll also talk about our fiscal outlook. And you've heard this term for almost 2 years now. We'll talk about budget stabilization and our next steps. As shared, tonight is our public hearing, and then we anticipate being back on June 25th for adoption. Thank you. What are budget assumptions? Budget assumptions they are based upon the best and most accurate information we have at this time. We get assumptions and information from the governor's budget, from financial experts, from trends within our district, and based upon the information that we have at this time, we create our budget. We make sure that these budget assumptions are tied to something specific. It's not Billy and I saying, hey, I think we need to do this. It's based upon board direction. It's based upon the economic situation, based upon information from the governor's budget, and also based upon industry standards. The first budget assumption is related to increased expenses. We made a significant investment into our staff this year and for years to come. And that's about $3.6 million of an expense increase in our budget. Next, our budget stabilization fund, Fund 17. We anticipate that we will need to utilize this entire fund in order to support our budget and be able to help us to reach our fiscal obligations. We anticipate, though, that those dollars will be gone within 3 years. Just a reminder, these are one-time dollars. The third assumption, and this is amazing, we have an increase in special education funding. So about $900 a student we received in the past, we anticipate that we'll receive about $1,300. That is significant. It will not cover our contribution, but any support that we can get is another dollar to be able to support our students. So we're excited about that, and we have included that in the budget. And then we also have our cost of living adjustment. At second interim, the cost of living adjustment was projected to be 2.41. We now have all the data, and the cost of living adjustment is 2.87. That's a mathematical calculation. It's economic data nationally, and it creates that statutory COLA amount that the governor proposes that districts will receive that full amount. You may have heard a term, a super COLA. I don't term the additional investment that the governor is proposing as a super COLA. I propose it to be the paid pregnancy disability leave COLA. That's 1.44. The reason I term it as that is because that investment is identified to be able to support rising costs, specifically to paid pregnancy disability leave. I don't think my clicker is working. Thank you, Janae. So at this time, I'm going to pass it on to Billy to provide you an update on enrollment trends and a summary of the budget.
Thank you. All right, enrollment and attendance. Since the 24-25 school year to the 25-26 school year, we lost 140 students. We project, or the district's projections show that That trend's not going to continue at that rate, but it is still going to drop approximately 70 students by 2028. That's important because our funding is based on average daily attendance, and average daily attendance is a percentage of our students who show up to school every day. So when we lose enrollment, we lose funding. This slide shows the total general fund revenue for the 26-27 school year for the general fund. That's both the unrestricted and restricted side of the budget. So total budget revenue, we anticipate receiving $140 million. 72% of that is from the local control funding formula. So last slide, we had $140 million in revenue. This slide is expenditures. Total general fund expenditures come out to $150 million. 76% of that is through salaries and benefits. Go ahead. Can you go back one? 76% of the $150 million total general fund revenues is salary and benefits. But when you look at just the unrestricted part of our expenditures, it's about 85%. Okay, this slide shows a total general fund summary of the combined that we just talked about, the $140 million in revenue, the $150 million in expenses on the right side, but we also show unrestricted and restricted budget. Our unrestricted budget actually shows a surplus when you look at how much money we're receiving versus how much we're spending. We show that we're actually gaining $11 million. But once we factor in our required contribution to our restricted programs, such as special education or restricted routine maintenance, we're actually decreasing or deficit spending our unrestricted budget by $8.2 million. Looking at this slide, we show what our beginning balance will be for 26-27. So our July 1st of 26 budget or balance is going to be $11.2 million for our unrestricted budget. And when you reduce that by that $8.2 million, we're going to end the 26-27 school year with a $3 million unrestricted fund balance. That $3 million is about a 2% reserve. State law in California for a district of our size requires a 3% reserve. So currently, as things are, we would not meet that requirement. The Board of Education, your requirement is an additional 3%, so a 6% reserve. Obviously, we wouldn't meet that either. It might be.
So it's now time to look ahead. And I want to emphasize what multi-year projections are. By law, every district must show their budget for this year and the budget for the next 2 years. That's what we have to do by law. Multi-year projections are like that early warning sign that problems might be coming up ahead. It gives us information so that we can make any corrections or adjustments that we need to make, similar to if you're driving a car and your warning light comes on. It's similar to that. So we know, oh, that check engine light is coming on. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what I need to change. Multi-year projections are not a crystal ball. They're not predictions. They're not forecasts. They are based upon, as I've shared earlier, the best information that we have right now. It also helps us to identify if we have a structural deficit. What is a structural deficit? A structural deficit is when we are consistently spending more than we're receiving. Next slide. So what we want to review with you on this slide and the future slides is what our multi-year projection looks like with and without the budget stabilization dollars. As I shared, we are required to look at this year and the 2 years ahead. Best practice is to tack on that fourth year. So what we have on this slide is we have the unrestricted fund description, the beginning balance, the ending balance, and the ending balance percent. And then we have each year going across, and it tells us what our ending fund balance would be without the budget stabilization dollars. As we can see in 27, 28, we are out of money. We are negative. We have no dollars. And this tells us and emphasizes why we need to have a budget stabilization plan, why we need to take corrective action. Next slide. This slide shows us what our budget would look like, what our multi-year projection would look like if we use the budget stabilization dollars. As you can see, our budget stabilization dollars gives us a temporary bridge to be able to make thoughtful decisions over the next few years. You'll see that in 2029-30, we are still negative. That's a year that we're adding on that fourth year. Again, our budget stabilization dollars are one-time dollars. But as I said just a moment ago, it gives us that bridge. It gives us that bit of time to be able to make thoughtful decisions versus being in a situation where we need to make immediate decisions that may not be in our best interest. We have that time. Next slide. So let's talk about the ending balance requirements. Billy shared that by state law, at minimum, we need to have a 3% ending fund balance. You'll hear words exchange, ending fund balance, reserves, it's the same thing, okay? However, our board policy requires us to have an unrestricted ending balance of at least 6% of our expenditures. Since we are below that amount, our board policy also states that we need to develop a plan to restore the balance to at least 6% within 2 years. As a reminder, we're not meeting even the 3% right now. Next slide. This slide right here is just a scenario. It is not a recommendation for a specific ending balance. It is not a recommendation for a specific amount to cut. All cuts, all reductions are going to be based upon board direction and based upon our budget stabilization plan. So what this slide is showing you is what it might look like if we made reductions over 3 years. Why do we say 3 years? Because making significant cuts next year is not realistic. Making $7, $8, $10 million cuts in 1 year, it's not realistic. And we want to be able to have the opportunity to keep our eye on the economic environment and be able to assess our budget as we're moving forward. So what we see here is to reach the board's 6% ending fund balance, we estimate that cuts may be about $12 million over 3 years. And that brings us to 6% in 28-29. However, in the following year, we may be in trouble as well, but we keep our eye on that. For the state requirement, it's about $9.25 million that we would need to reduce in ongoing expenditures to meet the state minimum. What this slide also tells us is no matter what we do, we have to do reductions. In this week's finance subcommittee, I appreciated a trustee saying it's basically as if we have a fixed income and we're using our savings and our savings is running out and we're not getting any more revenue. So we need to adjust our spending. Next slide. So what is our fiscal outlook? Overall, our reserves are declining below the required levels. We see that, but we knew this. This should not be new to any of us. We've been having this conversation for a couple years. The board putting aside $16 million in the budget stabilization fund, that was meant for situations like this. Situations where the fiscal environment and the cost pressures are so high that we needed a safeguard. We needed, as I said before, that bridge to help us in situations like this so we can make the reductions and the changes in our expenses moving forward and be able to protect our district, our students, and our staff. We know that if left unattended, then we face that the state might come in and have intervention in our district. We know that this is a long-term structural imbalance, and what that means is this isn't just a one-year problem. We saw on the previous slides, this is multiple years that we need to address so that we can balance our budget. As I shared earlier, even with the budget stabilization dollars, our reserves may become negative in 29-30. And as I've said before, we need to make significant reductions. The amount of reductions that we need to make are more than anything that we can just decrease in contracts. We know that it will likely touch every aspect of our district. Next slide. So let's talk about the budget stabilization requirements. So our fiscal overview, we've said before, our ending balance is below the required amount. But our management strategy is to make a multi-year reductions and use our budget stabilization dollars. We know per our strategic plan that we want to minimize direct impacts to classrooms and classroom instruction, though reductions in staffing, in programs and services across instructional and support areas are going to be needed. And our decision criteria is based upon student impact, legal requirements, and aligned with our strategic plan, which sets our priorities. Next slide. Budget stabilization is already occurring. You've heard me say we're scrubbing the budget. What does that mean? It means that not just Billy and I, we do have 3 directors still here, even our directors in the back of the room have been scrubbing the budget. For example, looking at their different contracts and seeing if they can get a better price. Brian, I'm saying your name. I met with Brian last week and he had a list of all of his contracts and said, you know what, maybe we don't need this one, but we're still supporting students. That's what scrubbing the budget is, and that's what we've been doing, and that's what we will continue to do. In the budget stabilization actions, we're already working with our budget advisory committee. Our budget advisory committee includes a student, parents, classified staff, certificated staff, our CSEA representatives, our WSTA representatives. We all come together to be able to, we as management provide them information so that they can come to you, and we're hoping in November to provide their recommended priorities for the budget. Their role is not to come forward and say, eliminate this, eliminate that, eliminate that. Their role is to come forward and say, as a committee who's representing the community, we recommend that you prioritize these specific areas. I've mentioned that administrator budget reviews. We asked our administrators to cut 10% of their budget. It's about $1 million that they are cutting from the budgets. And then our comprehensive review. I've talked about reviewing contracts. We're reviewing services to say, how does this align with our strategic plan? What are our legal requirements? What's the student impact? Next slide. So next steps. Tonight, we're conducting our public hearing. We'll be back together on June 25th for the adoption of a budget. Either at the 25th or at a subsequent meeting, we'll bring forth a resolution for your consideration. This resolution is the board's commitment to stabilizing the budget, to be able to signal to staff, to the community, to the county who has oversight of our budget, that we as a district, you as a board, recognize our budget situation and that we are taking action to stabilize our budget. In July, just like on our annual budget cycle, then we'll have more information from the enacted budget. From August to November, we'll continue meeting with our Budget Advisory Committee. We'll close the fiscal year in September, and that means we will know exactly what our revenues and expenditures and ending balance for 2025-26 will be, which will give us more information about our 26-27 budget. In November, as I shared, our plan is for the Budget Advisory Committee to come and present their recommendations for budget priorities to you. In December, any identified reductions by that time will include in our first interim budget. And as always, we're going to continue to review all of our expenses. Next slide. We're still at the same state in our budget, our annual budget cycle. We're still with the adopted budget, and we'll be back soon for adoption. Next slide. I want to end all presentations with a thank you. Creating this budget and doing this work, it's not me and Billy. It takes a host of people to be able to gather information, to be able to support the information, and be able to present this presentation and this budget to you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Do we have any comments or questions from my fellow trustees?
No, I'm just curious as to the subcommittee's discussion around the under 3% and strategies and thoughts. It's alarming. Yeah, no, I mean,
I mean, I think
the reaction, yeah.
it was clear in the tables that there's work to be done ahead, right? We have this bridge of a budget stabilization fund that we can use over the next 3 years, but I think we discussed we need to move forward with making the decisions now to be able to make sure that percentage is at least at the 3%, but meets that 6% that the board has set. And as part of that conversation, you talked about the 10% reduction, 10% reduction for this upcoming school year, 26-27. That will happen now. And I just want to make it clear and make sure that we all understand that the first major rollout of reductions wouldn't be until the 27-28 school year. Is it 27-28, the following school year, so not this upcoming year. Kind of gives us that time to receive the recommendations of the Budget Advisory Committee and time to make the reductions and the changes we need to
and
make.
discuss the non-negotiables that we feel that are necessary to, or that we discuss.
To be clear, and thank you for the questions, the most significant reductions would be effective in the 27-28 school year. It doesn't stop us from making adjustments now. For example, the $1 million out from the 10% reductions, that's already been deleted from the 26-27 budget.
Yeah.
As teams are reviewing contracts and they're up for renewal, we may not renew that, and so that decreases it. But indeed, the bulk of the reductions would be effective in the 27-28 school year.
And I think what was important about that non-negotiable conversation, and Monique, you touched on it a little bit too. We just heard the LCAP. We have these 5 goals in our strategic plan, and those really are the non-negotiables that the board set, a couple of years ago. And I think it's important to keep reminding ourselves that the priorities are already set, and it's just assuring that we're attributing the dollars to the priorities that we set as a board.
Thank you.
Jackie?
No, I mean, it's a wondering, that's the clarification of that. It's not, yes, the bulk will be in the out year budget, but right now, I just wanted to underscore, my understanding is that the 10% is happening out, so contracts and services that schools had before may not be happening in the 26-27 as, I just want to understand clearly that that was the statement, the $1 million, correct? The 10%.
Not necessarily. For example, some departments said, you know what, I don't need that much, and services or this contract isn't going to be that expensive next year. Or I need more examples, Billy. You know, we really just were decreasing budgets. And these are non-personnel expenses. And from my recollection, Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, we looked at student impact. I have to share that in our budget conversations, we did increase a budget. For example, the athletic budget. It's now over $300,000. Why? Because that's what the expenses need to be. And over the past several years, we looked at trends, and that is where the expenses trend. And so that budget increased, but in some other areas, we identified, you know what, we're not going to spend that. We haven't been spending those dollars. So why are we going to continue budgeting those dollars?
And just to make sure I'm understanding as well, based off of that, you're looking at the contract and looking at probably the deliverables of what is it that is coming in. You're like, okay, well, that really doesn't make sense. If they're giving us only 10 and they're supposed to be giving us 20, and that's what our budget is, let's bring it down to something more realistic, like 12, since that's roughly around the time, instead of putting a budget of much larger than it needs to be. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. That's exactly it. I'll go into my budget speak, return on investment. Are we getting what we anticipated from this particular expense? Yes? No? Can we have another conversation with the vendor to be able to decrease that cost? We've also identified, you know, these are one-time costs. Let's make sure we don't put that in the budget, and identifying places where maybe we've done that. And so we want to make sure that that's cleaned up.
And I can give an example just in terms of everything that we provide, we have all believed it's something students need. But we are always mindful and looking at, well, what is the impact? So for example, we sent out communication to the community about a change in iReady because we have had that service for the last 3 to 4 school years and have determined with input from teachers, input from parents, input from admin, that maybe there is a different use for that level of funding. So we are still using iReady, but not the full versions that we have for the last couple of years. So that may have decreased. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe, you know, $400,000 to $500,000 that was taken out of the budget for 26-27.
While still providing quality services to our students.
Again, this is for transparency where anybody is watching, is that somebody may have said, this thing I am used to having, even if it's 20 and they don't know the ROI, and that might not exist. So it's just for transparency for whoever's watching, is that there will be decreased services.
There will be.
I don't want to hide the ball. Like, again, you've heard me say, like, let's just not hide the ball. Let's be honest that there will be cuts in 26-27, like iReady, that are perhaps are welcome or not welcome, but for the community who's watching, I think it's important to say we are cutting and we need to cut more as we kind of think about future expenditures that are coming before the board. I think it's complicated and there's some cognitive dissonance if we're spending more money here, not there. So I think that for transparency, we need to continually talk to the public about what's happening.
That's a good point, and thank you for the slides, because that's exactly what we're doing with this hearing, is sharing all of the information, and hopefully the ones that are having questions are watching, because then a lot of this is actually very self-explanatory to me and how I'm learning. So I appreciate all the work that you guys put into it, and then the feedback that we gave at the committee meeting where you changed a little bit of the verbiage, you know, because we were very mindful of everybody. We know they're going to ask that, you know, and Jeanette brought something up and you guys adjusted and made the change. So I'm grateful for it. And
we're not hiding the ball. I feel like this is out in the open, so.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that we would have an increase in $400 for special ed. Is that federal or state? Can you tell us?
State.
Okay,
State.
thank you.
I'm going to put this out there. Advocacy still needs to occur at the state and the federal level. There's not enough funding coming to districts to be able to support our students.
Thank you for that point. And then in this current budget, I know that we haven't realized all of the positions, but we did talk and have gone and seen the numbers of moving the ECE to Alice Norman, and I think it was about 500,000 ongoing, possibly with secretaries, health aides, all the positions. Has any of that been put into this budget?
No, those decisions haven't been formalized. For example, we have an agenda item for a principal. That's not in the budget because it's not yet approved.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then how will the CBOC, never mind, the BAC, back.
Budget advisory committee.
Sorry, I wrote CBOC, so CBOC. Okay, how will just Budget Advisory Committee?
Yes.
I don't know. We have a lot of acronyms. That one's, I might not.
Funky.
Yes. How will that be communicated? Will those meetings be the type of thing that you have time where you just talk in a group together and it's not always going to be public facing? Is it going to be like CBOC where you can see the presentations, it's online? What will that be looking like moving forward?
So the Budget Advisory Committee, we are entering into a closed phase. It is not a board agendized type of meeting. And the conversations we need to have moving forward, the members need to be able to be as open and transparent as possible. And with public members there, that creates a bit of a dynamic. We're a public entity, so technically anyone could be there, but we do request that we respect their deliberation process to give them that space to be able to have the conversations. This year with the Budget Advisory Committee has been about foundation setting, has been about understanding our budget, understanding restricted versus unrestricted, the LCAP, special education. Our last meeting, we went over just the components of the budget, and next week is our next Budget Advisory Committee. And that's when the committee will share this presentation and allow them to ask deep questions. And then we talk about what do they need to make a decision. We'll go over whether or not they want to propose a one-year plan, a multi-year plan. They will vote and make decisions on what the priorities are. And so that information, technically, the presentations, et cetera, foundational presentations, absolutely public. But we do want to be mindful that everything that they review may not be something that they recommend. And we want to be sensitive to that.
Thank you. I think that's important because as we talked about, there's a lot of non-personnel reductions that we can be making right now, as you spoke to and have been making. But when it comes to the personnel, recommendations, I think it's important to be sensitive to that. Are you currently then at this next meeting, will there be students and parents? I can't remember the composition, but I see this, that there are students and parents on that. Are there currently, and will there be then at that meeting?
Yes. Okay. So the members who were selected and approved for this year are the members moving forward.
Okay.
And we do have a student, we have 2 or 3 parents, we have staff, we have, I just need to give a shout out to that group. They are amazing. They're very thoughtful, they're very respectful of each other. They are really taking this very seriously and asking great questions.
Good. And then just last question. I know we had seen the list and talked through this, but it's been a while. So are the parents that are on that reflective of our community in terms of coming from, all of the places of West Sacramento?
We believe so.
Okay.
I don't have exactly who they are right now.
I just
Okay.
visually, I believe so, and I believe when we first started
Deliberate.
the BAC conversation, it was an application
Was.
that, you wanted to make, our intent was to make sure community members who were interested understood the commitment that they were signing up for. And at that time, when we looked at the applications, that was one of the things to make to see if, number one, the people who submitted interest were from different parts of the community. So that was one of the things we were aware of. But we
Thank
can
you.
send a reminder to the board of who those members
That
are.
would be helpful. Yeah, and just as you move
Absolutely.
into the year, if people drop off or if there's less or you need more, I understand you've been setting the foundation, but I think it's just important to make sure that that's represented. Thank you. That's all.
I also asked too, if we have interim updates of the committee and
Absolutely.
their, whatever they come up with, just so that we're in the loop on.
Being
Just an awareness.
specifically for your budget subcommittee.
I said to all of us, but I mean, I don't know if anybody else wants that.
Just in an update.
Yeah,
Okay,
just a
great.
simple.
I mean, I'm hearing right now we're foundation, we're moving towards making sure we understand the difference. That's great. The next one is okay, we started looking
We're
at
in it.
priorities. You don't have to give us specifics of this is
Thank
what
you.
the discussion was,
you.
because we want to make sure that they still have that, freedom to speak. It's just more of, let us know how it's going, so that way we are, understand, okay, they're still working on foundation. How much longer are they going to work on foundation?
Yes. Yes, and we are out of foundation setting now.
I figured that.
We're out of it. And I thank you for allowing us to be able to respect their process.
Yes.
We are the facilitators. It will be their recommendations. We provide information to them to help them to be able to present what's important to them, to help you all to make decisions moving forward.
Okay, just a caveat that, just like we are here to oversee the district and provide that layer of oversight, we don't do the work every day, and you do. So I do think there is some importance with staff giving some recommendations. I mean, this might be a conversation for a later day, but I'm just, people who work at one school site or have a child at one school site, they're not going to have all of the knowledge that you all have. So I just want to make sure that that there are also recommendations to them too. I don't want to, if you're only a facilitator.
That is practical.
Correct. So what you, on this right here, we have the information from Budget Advisory Committee. We have rubbing the budget, us being able to see areas that we can, decrease our budgets. But we as staff, it is our responsibility to bring recommendations to you as well. That's our role, that's our responsibility. And so the Budget Advisory Committee, they are not the sole source for recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
We as staff, we will bring recommendations to you as well.
No, you go ahead.
And so a way to think about it is the Budget Advisory Committee is the community input arm of budget stabilization.
So yes, and wondering if those who aren't there, are there other ways, forms, surveys that you will be also planning to put out to the community so that they can also inform the BAC? For those who, I'm looking at the list of recommendations now, and it really is a handful, a lot of really heavy. And kind of responsibility. Glad they get along, but there are also lots of other perspectives that may not be represented in the body of folks who are on the BAC that I think would be important to gather.
Absolutely. Part of our strategy is also in the fall being able to have community meetings as well, so that we're getting as much input as possible from a variety of sectors to be able to help us to move forward.
Because right now it seems staff heavy. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong list, but.
So just a reminder, staff were facilitators. And so the management staff there, we are information providers. For example, Carla Salvo is a member of the committee, and her role and what she's done is she presented on the special education to help understand that. We're there when they have questions to be able to answer those questions for them. We're their resource.
So that includes certificate and classified staff?
Yes.
Okay, so that just for advisors. So really the core people are just the parent, caregiver, and...
No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Management staff, we are the information people. So we do have certificated non-management staff.
Yes.
They are the
Okay, so
people who
yeah,
are going to be
that's what I'm saying.
recommending.
It's still employee heavy compared to the parent and the handful of parents.
Do we have
students.
parents that are, am I, like, is there overlap? That's what's happening?
Help me
Is
understand.
that what you're at?
Oh, because we talked about this the other day, where they are an employee of the district, but they're also a parent.
No.
There was, I think, a couple of maybe members, but I don't know what capacity they served in on the advisory committee.
Great question. The parents are solely parents. They're not
Gotcha.
employees, the ones that we selected.
And we have one student?
Yes.
And is this one student going to still be a student in 3
Yes.
years? That's what I was going to ask.
And we had a conversation similar to this too in the subcommittee meeting, right? And I think Monique explained it nicely right now, where we're putting a lot of time into the discussion of the budget advisory committee, but they're truly a leg, right, in this process of getting to where we need to be, who's going to offer recommendations to us. But alongside of the budget advisory committee process, there's still the same responsibilities that our fiscal services staff has and our cabinet has, so that we have also. And I think, and we continue to have these same conversations as a board. So, you know, it's just, for me, it's just remembering that piece of it, right? That
Thank you.
this is a group to get the community input on what the decisions need to be next, but it's not the sole decide. It's not a decider at all.
Thank you. And I want to reiterate once more, the Budget Advisory Committee's role is to bring priorities. It's not here to say, eliminate this position and that position and that position and that position. Consider reviewing this and this and this. That's their role. How do they get there? It's through the conversations and the information that they provide. They may, and these are completely their recommendations, they may say, you know, please look deeper at the CBO position and determine if that's the best value for the district. That might be something. But they are not here to have a list of cut all of these people. They may say, you know, these programs, we don't believe that this is the highest priority for it. So it's really open to where they want to go and what they recommend, but it is not a list of cut this, cut this, cut this, and that position.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? No? All right. Well, hearing.
Thank you.
Done. You're welcome. And now moving on to our consent agenda. Do we have any public comments?
None received.
All right. Do I have any comments from my fellow trustees or motion?
Oh, sorry. I move after comments.
None? I was just making sure. Okay.
None.
All right. Moved by trustee Wong. Second by clerk Hunt. All in favor?
Aye.
I too say aye. And now we are moving on to our action items. First is the approval of the contract with IT Management Corporation, DBA 101 Voice for the district-wide unified communication system update. Monique Stovall.
Thank you. I am joined by our Director of Technology, Brian Briggs. Yes, there you go. I do want to preface that this particular item we have been discussing for months. And I definitely, even before he presents the item, want to give kudos to Brian. He's been really working very hard to get the best price for the district and going back and forth with the vendor. And now we're ready to present this to you because we do believe this is what's best for our district at the best price that we're able to get.
Customary. Good evening. This is a mouthful. So today we're asking the board to approve the contract with IT Management Corporation doing business as 101 Voice to replace our modernize our district phone system. In short, our phone system now is old. They don't make our phones anymore. They stopped making the Mitel phones in 2024. So recently what we've been doing is just band-aiding our current system, using a third party to do covering the costs of the repairs that we do have now. And our current phone system is also on AT&T copper lines, which are very old, outdated. So if we are to stay with our current phone system, we'd have to update our infrastructure of our copper lines, purchase all brand new phones, and then also pay the third party to continue with Mitel. I agree. So what we're proposing with this one is 101 Voice, which is some of the features that really jump out is the safety and security of it. Currently, if a classroom calls 911, that comes into the fire department coming from the district office. This new one is going to pinpoint down to what classroom it's coming from. Also, back in December, when our phone system went down for a few days and trying to get AT&T to come out to get it fixed, this one here, if the phone system goes down or the power goes down, the system itself switches over to Wi-Fi, and not Wi-Fi, cellular service. So it's going to connect to the closest cellular service it can jump onto. So again, if power goes out or the phone system internet goes out, it's going to jump to cellular service. Also, this here, over the 5-year cost on this, if we jump to 101 Voice, we're going to save the district over $300,000 over the 5 years, switching to the new one. The other one also is their customer service on this. It's going to be using their manpower to install it as well. So again, my recommendation on this, like I said, we've been working on this for about 6 months now. But for these reasons, we ask the approval of the contract with IT Management Corporation doing business as 101 Voice for the district-wide unified communication system update. Is there any question?
Are there any public comments?
None received.
All right. Do I have any comments from my fellow trustees?
It was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
I work at the depot, the Army Depot, and they have one of the oldest, fiber.
We're not even fiber.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I had to set up our phone system along with internet, but doing the phone system literally took 8 months.
Yeah.
To set up brand new phones, and it was a pain in the butt. It was very expensive. And that's why I was shaking my head, having to redo the infrastructure is very costly. So I know it looks like a lot of money here, but just for a small business, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do people survive, small businesses? So I appreciate the work you put into it.
Yeah. And this company here, which I really like them, 101 Voice, they are betting on themselves that it takes them 2 months from signing to the contract for it to completely installed. They did that with Elk Grove. They did it with Twin Rivers. They're going to maybe do a Folsom soon. But yeah, so again, they're priding themselves that it takes them 2 months from start to finish.
Any other questions?
That was going to be my question on the timeline of this. Given that the contract's coming to us today, is that happening over the summer, or it'll go into August most likely?
I'm hoping we start tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I already emailed them today, heads up. This has been a long process. It's going to the board tonight, and he's looking forward to me contacting him tomorrow.
Great. I'll move when ready.
I just really appreciate the pieces you brought up, the safety pieces, like calling 911 and going to district office. I mean, that's scary, and I didn't know that. And then switching to cellular versus when the power goes out and nobody can call school, which, oh my gosh. So I want to thank you for that. And then I just have while you're doing this, we still have, when you call schools, I don't know how many of you do this, and you get the answering machine, it's like, the principal 2 people ago sometimes. So maybe with this, I don't know, those updates can be easier for people to do too. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So will it go cloud-based if that's what it's
It's
gonna
complete voice,
Yeah.
yeah, voice over IP.
be? Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
So you said so like I'm admin from my company, so
Mm-hmm.
will you guys be admin? Because you have the options, right? Like, will you
Yes.
guys be admins?
We're going to be admins. They're also going to completely have control, but they allow us in it too, so we can be the admins as well. Another feature I also like is you can download the app on your phone.
Yeah.
And so like I have the beta now, so if I ring from my personal phone with the app, it's going to be my district office. It's going to be my district desk.
It's very
That's really nice.
very
Yeah.
sophisticated.
That's really nice
For-
for all of your admin.
And for, well, teachers who want to call home but don't want to give. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for all that. So
Yeah.
you were going to move, I think, Clerk Hunt?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll second it then. Well, if you're ready for that, President Coffee.
I was, and then I took a crack at my at my little mint that I had in my mouth. Yes, I'm so sorry. I did want to say that I believe I saw this on an item a few months ago, and it was pulled before it was published because it was, hold on, we think we can do better. And so, yes,
appreciate
I really appreciate this because I had a lot of questions at that time. And so very thankful of this. I heard Clerk Hunt move,
I'll second.
and it was trustee Kirby Gonzalez second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye. So give him that call.
All right. Thank you.
And now we're on to the approval of amendment number 1 to the Crystal Creamery Dairy Products contract. Monique Stovall.
Okay, thank you. This evening, we are asking for an amendment, which is an extension to the contract with Crystal Creamery Dairy Products. We have found that they have been very successful. We are happy with the products, and so we would like to extend the contract through next year. The cost is $300,000, paid through by our cafeteria fund, Fund 13.
All right. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Any comments from my fellow trustees? Nope. All right. Well, then do I have a move?
For reliable, fresh milk, one at a time.
Well, I heard Vice President Castro move, but you second, so we'll go with Vice President Castro move, trustee Wong second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I too say aye.
Sorry, for fresh, nutritious milk.
Yes.
All right, moving
Thank you.
on to the 2026-2027 annual declaration of need for certificated teaching. Shea Borges.
None.
Good evening, President Coffee, Board, Dr. Hildreth. Hello, everyone. I come here every year asking for the annual declaration of need for qualified educators. This is an annual filing that we do with the CTC. It is required by the district if we anticipate needs of educators on emergency permits, internships, credential waivers, due to teacher shortage. The approval of the declaration does not authorize a hiring of unqualified staff, rather it provides a legal mechanism necessary for the commission to issue temporary credentials when fully credentialed candidates are not available. Approval ensures the district remains compliant with state requirements and maintains the ability to staff classrooms and support student learning.
All right, are there any public comments?
None received.
Any comments from my fellow trustees?
No, I'll move.
No, okay, we'll move by Vice President Castro,
I'll second.
second by trustee Kirby Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
I
you
too
very
say
much.
aye. And now on to the approval of renewal of speech and occupational services with developmental therapy services of Sacramento for district-wide services for the 2026-2027 school year. I was gonna say it's not Autry, so.
No, it's me. It's you. So good evening, Board, Dr. Hildreth and fellow colleagues. You don't want to come up, Billy? This is really fun. Okay. I have a couple renewal on contracts, so I just wanted to give a little preface, just so I don't have to say it a couple times, but I will if you need me to. But as part of the district's obligation under the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, California Education Code, we are required to provide special education and related services identified in students' IEPs. The contracts being presented tonight support those required services in the areas that we continue to experience staffing shortages for specialized service needs. While these contracts are necessary to ensure compliance and continuity of services for students, I remain committed to reducing our reliance on our contracted providers. We continue to prioritize recruitment, retention, and the development of internal capacity through ongoing hiring efforts, staff supports, and strategic planning. My goal is to provide as many services as possible through district-employed staff while ensuring that students receive services and supports as they're entitled to without interruption. So like President Coffey had shared, the first one is for speech and occupational services with developmental therapy services. And so we would renew this contract. We've been partnered with them for a few years now, and they currently would provide, if we agree to move forward, 13.3 FTE for speech and 3 FTE for occupational therapy, which roughly would service about 800 students.
All right. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Are there any comments or questions from my fellow trustees? No? Okay. Do I have somebody who would like to move? Moved by trustee Wong,
I'll second.
second by clerk Hunt. All in favor?
Aye.
I too say aye. Go ahead and stay there, Carla. We're going to go ahead with the approval of renewal of service contract with Behavior Analytic Solutions for the 2026-2027 school year.
Yep, so this specific contract supports students who have specific needs around one-on-ones or SKIAs. So this supports 8 students to have RBTs or registered behavior therapist because of behavior and or specialized academic supports throughout their school day. So this would also be a renewal to our contract. We have had this contract for about 3 years now.
For how many? 3. Okay. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Any from my fellow trustees?
Just a quick comment. I had asked a question prior to tonight, and my curiosity with all of these contracts was, my mind is, I can't think of any words, how we evaluate the service providers and if there is any feedback gathering from those who receive the services to assure that, I don't know how this works, right? If it's the same 8 as it was last school year. But I think, I just want to say aloud, I think it's important that we continue to do that with, bless you, the individuals who are receiving the services, the district employees who are working with these individuals, contractors on a day-to-day. I did have a quick question that I'm just thinking of now. Is in these contracts, is there the opportunity to eliminate services or minimize if, okay.
Yeah, with all of our contracts, and it may vary timeline-wise, but usually it's at least a 30-day.
Okay.
We're able to reduce, and all the conversations at the start of, when I start the conversations, is really based on the need that we currently have. And I preface with, I will continue to, recruit throughout the school year. And so if something comes up, or I'm lucky enough to hire, or students need a reduction in services, then we are able to make those adjustments. So they're very clear on that as we kind of go back through the process of renewing a contract or starting one.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Yes.
it. And I'll move. Everyone's ready.
Well, we will move by clerk Hunt, second by Vice President Castro. All in favor?
Aye.
To say aye. And now moving on to the approval of renewal of behavior services with Aspire Behavior Consulting, Inc. for the 2026-2027 school year. Welcome back, Carla.
Thank you. So similar from before, the specific contract is for registered behavior therapists that support students who have one-on-ones district-wide. And to kind of piggyback a little bit on the question that was asked before, there is some continuity with staff year to year, but there is also some, just changes throughout the school year sometimes. So that's another piece that is involved in the contracts, is if somebody leaves, that they do send us a replacement or a sub, because we don't have always that ability to sub for long term. So that is something that's built into these contracts as well.
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Any comments from my fellow trustees? And this one you said is for any student, right? Earlier, the other one was for like roughly 8 students.
This one is for 5 specific students that have that's the one-on-one service on their IEPs. And so in order to receive this level of support, because it is a pretty high level of support, there is an assessment that occurs through our district BCBAs. And then there's typically behavior intervention plans that are tied to this, and also FADE plans, because the hope is that the student wouldn't need for long term this level of support.
Thank you. I'll move. Moved by Vice President Castro.
Second.
Second by Trustee Wong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I too say aye. And now approval of renewal of contracted physical therapy services with Jabber Gym LLC district-wide for the 2026-2027 school year. Carla.
Thank you. So for this specific contract, it is for physical therapy. We don't have a large number of students that need the support, roughly around 20. So this position is 0.6 FTE, so not a full FTE, but it is split between a physical therapist and a physical therapist assistant. So the services are kind of divided up between the two. And this position has been hard to fill for us. And so this is going on our 2nd year with Jabber Gym.
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Are there any comments or questions from my fellow trustees? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. You had said that it's been hard to fill. Does that mean that we've also opened the position for a WSD employee as well?
We have not done that specifically, but it's been hard to fill even with contracted staff. In the years prior, we've tried different contracted staff to be able to provide us that support, and we went a few months without being able to, even with a contracted staff, be able to find that.
Thank you. I know that because we did hire a speech and language pathologist this evening, which we've been really hoping to do. So maybe as others brought up with the other contracts, that's something that we continue to explore as well. But I know people need their services starting day 1 in August, but that we continue to explore if that's something that we could bring on into. And if there's no other comments, then I'll move.
All right. Moved by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Wong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I too say aye. All right, moving on to approval of renewal of the transport services with Ever Driven Technologies LLC for the 2026-2027 school year. Carla.
Thank you. For EverDriven is our transport service, so we primarily utilize them for students that are placed outside of our district at non-public schools, and the non-public school does not provide their own transportation, and our transportation can't have doesn't have the manpower to go out of West Sacramento. So that's what we primarily contract with. So it's roughly about 10 students that utilize the service throughout the school year.
Okay. Are there any public comments?
None received.
Any comments or questions from my fellow trustees? All right. Do I have a motion to move? Moved by Clerk Hunt, second by Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
I too say aye. And now approval of renewal of service agreement with Connected Speech Therapy for the 2026-2027 school year. Carla. Sorry, I was thinking if there was more.
You're great. So our last one for the evening, and it's specifically for speech services. that would be able to provide about 6.3 FTE or full-time employment, and that would roughly support 345 students, specifically from preschool through 8th grade.
Are there any public comments?
None received.
Do I have any comments or questions from my fellow trustees? Because I have one, and that is mainly if you can help me differentiate between the earlier speech and occupational services therapy. Perhaps that's different than this one, which is connected speech therapy.
Yeah, we have to utilize 2 separate contracted agencies just because they don't have the manpower to provide us all of our speech therapists that we require. And so that's why there's 2 different ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. There are no other questions? Moved by Vice President Castro.
I'll second.
Second by Clerk Hunt. All in favor? Aye. And I too say aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Well done with so many. Okay, and now we are going to go on to our new number 10, which is approval of the Principal Early Education Center job description. Shea Borges.
So I'm doing this on the fly here. So tonight's, the job description that's being presented is just that. It's just a job description. It is not approving any of the position or any FTE. This is a position that we drafted in preparation of the potential need to have a principal for our Alice Norman site, specifically catering to our ECE students, and writing that they have the qualifications to support that position.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
None received.
I will go ahead and.
Sure, I pulled this.
Yes.
So thank you for coming up and for
absolutely.
sharing with us. And can you remind me, and if you don't know, that's okay, but I believe we have 4 classrooms that are going to be, can you tell me how many preschool classrooms we'll have next year?
Yeah, so we'll have 2 SDC classrooms, but they'll have 4 cohorts for next year.
Okay, so 2 classrooms, kind of like an AM, PM?
Correct.
With 4 total classes,
Mhm.
okay. So, I'm reading.
Carla is going to come up here and assist here.
To answer your question, yes, there's 2 SDC classes with AM/PM cohort, but there's also a state preschool that has an AM/PM cohort for next year.
Okay, thank you. And
But 6 classes,
preschool.
3.
Okay, thank you. 3 teachers, okay. And I know, I'm mindful too of our budget. We've talked about this a lot. I know staff has worked very hard. You've given a lot of presentations. I know it's been shared with us how much it will cost. It's about, as I shared earlier, about $500,000 when we look at principal, secretary, health aide, others. We had asked multiple times about, could we for this next year partner with YCOE as they are overseeing kids? What are some things we could do? When looking at the job description, there's multiple ways that you can meet the requirements to be the administrator. One being having taught in primary and have 12 ECE units. You can get those at community college. I have 12 ECE units as part of my education to be a teacher. So if we have staff that currently is not ready for those roles, it would be a very small cost piece, I think, for the district to absorb if we help them get those units or be prepared. But I think about, and then we can just talk on process. I think about roles that we've had before, because this is not new ADA. This is students we have, and we're just shifting them. We're not getting any additional ADA for this. And given the number, the size, and what we task our administrators with, which is a lot, it feels like this would be like a principal on special assignment that takes on other tasks or others. I mean, we're talking, these have all been people existing on a full school site with an admin that oversees a lot of people. So I'm hesitant doing this next year full-time versus an interim or other solutions. And so my question to you, with all that said, I see the job description doesn't say hours in there. If we approve this tonight, what is the next step? Or is it going to be posted on EdJoin right away? What does this look like from the
So, no, great question. Thank you for asking. This is not going to be posted. This is about approving the job description so that if the board makes the decision to move forward with the FTE, then we're able to immediately post and start moving forward. So this is the next step in that process. So if the board came back on next board meeting, then and said, yeah, we're going to move forward with this role, then I would be able to post it because we'd have a job description to go along with it. So this is just the next step in the process. This is not approving the allocation of the funding at this point for the position.
Okay. So I'm thinking in the past, it doesn't feel like that's always come to us. Once we approve the job description, sometimes it just goes on in the past. So I'm just making sure there will be another step or not, because my hesitation is approving this tonight. And I'm only one board member, so my colleagues may feel very differently. I feel like we can continue to get creative with 3 FT. I mean, that's a very small staff you're evaluating. I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. I love little children. I worked preschool. I know it's a hard job. But that is my worry, is if I say yes to this, that tomorrow it's on EdJoin, and I don't want to not be approving a principal. I don't want it to come to that, where it's on the agenda and there's a person's name, so.
Absolutely. I didn't know if you were going to say something.
I just also want to clarify, I'm looking, since Assistant Superintendent Streak isn't here, I've gone back and looked through. It would be for 4, 2 SDC preschool with the AM PM cohort, the state preschool class from Westfield, and then the California State Preschool Collaborative and TK Collaborative from Southport. So it would be 4.
Southport is moving next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then there's plans to move additional the following year.
It would be Riverbank.
And I understand that when we come later, it feels like for the phase-in, could there be a less costly option as this works through? I mean, that is a challenge. In the past, people have taken on multiple roles. I know everybody's stretched it, so I know how maybe people are receiving this. But this is, again, these kids have already been on other campuses, so it just feels like this investment starting in August is concerning to me, the numbers. But if it will continue to come to us in the future, then
I was going to say, I don't
then
think
that
it's an
is
unreasonable
then that feels
ask.
different.
Yeah.
And I share the same sentiment as you. I mean, just to have the conversation, I mean, and be sure that we're going to have this come before us.
What I would recommend, or we can come back, I'd like to debrief and discuss more with Assistant Superintendent Streak when she returns from her vacation. I know one of the questions previously had been, could we support or share with YCOE because they have an admin, and so we can get more details about that, because would you have an admin who's not a WUSD employee overseeing WUSD? Just wanted to make sure we're clear with all the legal requirements of supervision for YCOE and for WUSD, and then to be able to provide some updates or feedback of what are some options if there were to be an interim position for the year. What would that look like? Who do we think in our system might be able to take on those responsibilities? So once we're able to have that debrief, we could bring back more conversation or more information.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful for me, because I had thought again, I'm One Voice. I know that we all as a group decided to move students. We agreed that was what was right for kids, so I'm not trying to derail that. But I had thought from that study session that some of those conversations we're going to have.
Yeah, you are correct. I think that on process, it's just, this needs to exist as a backup of when, so that we don't have to wait when the time is right. A year from now, whenever we decide, and for clarity, there was direction on, let's explore in this next year, shared service, whatever, like whether or not there is an existing admin on special assignment, whatever. So I appreciate you elevating that publicly, that let's be creative, considering we just had a budget meeting about what we need to cut. 10% across. And at the same time, I understand like one, we need to approve this because when we do decide, we have to get moving because kids. But I also hear clarity and like that will come back to us in the budget discussions when we adopt.
Yes, it will come back, and some of the considerations we're taking under with this as well, that as we're exploring and looking at different options, just so that everybody's aware, right? We're going to have students that have IEPs. That requires an administrator to be at those, so we're going to need that purpose. We have CBA language that we also need to comply with as far as having a designee on the campus when there's staff there as well. So those are all things that we're looking at and exploring as we're trying to determine what is the best option moving forward. But this is just a step in that process. It is, you will not see it on EdJoin.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, and I appreciate my colleagues too letting me ask these questions, because it's easier now than if it's with a person, because then it feels personal.
Absolutely.
You know, if it came
Absolutely.
forward. So I just wanted to make sure I got those assurances.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Okay.
Is there any other questions? Would you like to move, Sarah?
With that, I'll move.
Okay, moved by trustees Kirby Gonzalez, second by Vice President Castro. All in favor? Aye. I too
Thank you
say
very
aye.
much.
All right, and now we're going on to board governance, approval of trustee compensation for missed board meetings in accordance with board bylaw 9250. Dr. Hildreth.
Yes, so we approved the resolution language, and so that was then adopted at the last meeting on May 28th. And so this meeting, at that meeting, we determined that we would keep this topic on each agenda so that we would be able to vote each meeting if there was someone absent. So this would be looking at if there were any absences between January and May that we then need to vote on, and then this will be a consistent process moving forward.
Okay. So we know of one. Was there any others?
No.
Okay, so then we're voting for the one, I think it was April. Okay. I don't have am I supposed to have the paper to?
Clerk Hunt has it.
Yeah, sorry, it was on a different slide.
And President Coffey, I have seen these like on other districts' agendas where they're just on the agenda, they're filled out. It's less clunky and it feels less, this felt like an uncomfortable process. So I don't know, in the future, maybe we can have our maybe legal team see too, because I think it can be like pre-filled out or on the agenda, because they just vote on it and then it's done versus having to like figure out how to like read it, you know, because we all have the data. So I don't know, just food for thought moving forward, that might make this easier if it was pre.
Okay, well, I guess the next question is, if this was voted on and approved, can we just make modifications, or do we have to keep continuously bring it up to, as we're making modifications to vote and approve?
Thinking of like when I saw one district, this district staff, it seemed like, or board president, I don't know, just filled it in, and we approved the language, but it's just there. If the language is there, it was written in.
Yeah, to be transparent, I was expecting my name to be on this, and I'm like, it's blank, so why is my name not on this? So I think that's what it pre-filled out, so if that's what you're suggesting.
I think that's what you're.
Yeah, and I actually thought last meeting it would be, because I felt like we had approved it the meeting before. Anyways, it's just this felt a little, just thinking of a way to be smoother moving forward.
Yeah, no, because I mean, we're not going to be on the board forever, and so we want to make this as streamlined as possible for all future board meetings. Well,
it's fine. Okay, everybody knows. I mean, so like it's me, so you can fill in the blank
for this
me.
part, yeah, but I'm just saying for
one of the two board meetings
One
in
of
the
one.
month of
There was
April.
only one of one.
Yeah.
Oh, there was only one in April?
There was one of one. There was only one of one.
So for
And then you don't even need.
Okay.
So for clarification, moving forward,
Yes, no.
the request is to look at a resolution that if we know that somebody was already absent, that would be filled in and attached, already filled out.
Okay, just vote on it.
And then the
And
process
maybe
is
our
just
legal-
voting on what the attachment
And
is.
maybe our legal
Got it.
office has an example of that, but I have been watching other districts because I've been wondering how they're doing it, because and it doesn't feel so, they just vote on it and it's easy and they don't read it out loud.
More
and-
streamlined.
Yeah, it's more streamlined and
But I mean, for this one, it's one of one, which is also an interesting,
I know, right? I'm like, wait, which am I filling out? Okay,
it's a tricky month.
it is. Okay.
start learning.
This is
Oh,
totally,
you need to fill out number 3.
yeah, I just realized. What was the date?
April
23rd.
Thank you, because it's. Ah. Okay. So that's it, right? Now I don't even have a place to sign it. So here's the next, like, this is totally, no nay, no yay, no like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll move because I wasn't here.
Okay.
I missed the one of one because I was in another, across an international deadline. I'll say it for the third time
Okay.
publicly. And so therefore, it's option number 3 because I wasn't doing any district business.
Okay, so
So yeah.
thank you for moving. Second, I guess.
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Castro. All in favor?
Aye.
I do say aye, and I don't know if there's anything else other than that. Okay, here we go. Moving on. And now we go on to, we'll get that figured out, as it was our first one. Second, resolution number 252647, ordering governing board member election and requesting the Yolo County Board of Supervisors to consolidate district election with regular election held on November 3rd. Dr. Hildreth.
Yes, so we were notified by YC Yolo County regarding the process for upcoming elections. And because there are 2 trustee areas that will be up for election, the Board of Supervisors has to approve if we want to have that election as part of the general election in November. And so if that is the case, this resolution has to be submitted to the Board of Supervisors by, I believe it was June 17th. So we must vote on that at this meeting. So there are 2 areas specifically that need a board decision on the resolution. If you look at number 3, in the event of a tie vote resulting in no clear winner, the governing board shall determine whether the tie will be resolved by runoff election or by lot as permitted by law. We have to say which one of those. Do we want to have a runoff or?
What's a by lot?
I don't remember doing that.
What?
I didn't realize it was on. I don't remember doing that. Trying to remember.
We looked, it was on in June of 2024. The resolution was there.
So what did we decide in June?
We did
2024?
follow.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay. For June of 2024, you guys had decided to do a runoff.
Okay,
Um,
all right. Then a runoff it is. We can vote,
then-
definitely. If there's a tie.
Yeah. I don't know.
The other.
We've gotten down to like a few ballots in races in
But
Washington.
not a tie.
But
So
not a tie.
I'm
Let's just
assuming
hope
that must have happened in other elections, and so this is a choice that needs to be made.
Okay.
The other choice needs to be made is number 4.
Okay, this is a basic question, but what's the difference between a runoff or by lot?
Well, that's what I was just asking.
By lot, hold on.
We're looking, yeah, we're looking.
That's what I was asking. What's a by lot? Parking lot.
Because a runoff costs us money.
Oh.
So I'd like to know, like, if a lot doesn't cost us money.
It,
Because
election
appointment,
by
does lot
lot.
mean by appointment?
Although I would not, I'd be really uncomfortable with an appointment if people had a tie, but.
may I again?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Decide that.
With the runoff, the second election is held between the 2 candidates. And with the lot,
it is a random method of breaking a tie, similar to drawing names.
I say a lot.
Like a
I
lot.
say a lot.
Oh, wow.
Lottery. It's like a lot.
Lottery, okay.
One, I think it's, I mean,
Names
for
and a
this year,
hat.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe those who are up for reelection have
Well,
an
you've all been
opinion. I
elected.
don't
It's
know.
an odd.
I mean, it's for this year, so I don't know. Like, there's 3 of us who
I
are
don't think it would be right for you all to look at the people who are, I mean,
We're
let's
like-
not have a discussion of
like-
that. That seems really strange to me, but,
It just does cost us some money for.
Well, the likelihood of this actually happening
I
is
agree.
very, very
low.
low. So if you,
I lean towards an
To
election because
runoff,
I would
yeah.
not personally, if I were in the shoes, obviously it's election year, but I wouldn't want to go against, you're going against half the voters either way. So that feels uncomfortable. So I like the idea of a runoff, but I defer to all of you on what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it does cost, I think it's what, 100,000, I mean, I don't know, it's a real fiscal discussion. It's unlikely to happen, so I think that it's fair to say, I could go either way because we just had a budget. We can't even, we're concerned about a $150,000 principal, so to do an election for 100,000 plus, it's actually a real fiscal conversation. I could go either way, but would love to hear it.
I'm okay either way, with the likelihood of it being so low. All right, I don't have a strong opinion.
I like the idea of a runoff because I want my constituents make that decision.
Sounds like a runoff. And then the other part was, Dr.
Number 4, there is a candidate statement, publication and translation cost, and that has to be determined if it shall be paid by the district or the candidate. And then we have to decide, or the trustees have to decide, whether the candidate statement is either 200 words and 5 paragraphs or 400 words and 10 paragraphs. In the resolution that was approved in June of 2024, the board at that time stated that the candidate would pay for the cost and that the statement length would be 200 words or 5
I
paragraphs.
think that's what it is right now.
So it's, do we want to keep that or do we want to pay for a candidate statement from the district and make it a 400-word, 10 paragraph?
Negative.
Okay.
I say candidates
Individual, yeah.
and 200 words. Be
Agree.
concise. 5 paragraphs.
The other components of the resolution are just basically following the process of what happens in a general election. Again, we will be sending, there's another attachment that sends, that is sent to Dr. Lewis, the superintendent of schools for Yolo County, saying that which trustee areas are going to be up, and that's trustee area 1 and 5. And that, yes, we would like that to be part of the general election. And then there needs to be a roll call vote.
Okay.
And then we will have Clerk Hunt sign it, and we will then be able to submit it before the deadline.
Okay. So do we have her like circle this, or is there going to be another one?
You have a clean copy? A clean copy of this?
No, because we weren't sure what you guys were going to decide.
We can sign it
So
before the.
I can put in your guys' stuff and then I'll send it to Clerk Hunt.
Okay, sounds great. So let's go roll call. Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Clerk Hunt.
Aye.
Vice President Castro.
Aye.
And I too say aye. 5 yeas. Okay. And now on to our board and superintendent comments. Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you, President Coffey. I just want to start with acknowledging all of the wonderful graduations and 8th grade promotions and kinder promotions. Last week, it really is, it was wonderful. it really reminds us that's why we do what we do. And to be able to see all of the students who are so excited and their families are so excited for that special occasion and the senior activities and the senior walks at the high schools. And that really is like the best time of the year for us to see those highlights. And for those of you who had family members graduating at one level or another, I know from experience what a special time that is when you're seeing your own kid have those memories, because it is every graduation, every promotion is a wonderful memory for the families. And so just thanking all of the staff that supports our students from TK to 12th grade. It is that celebration that we all relish, even though it's not our own kids, they still are our kids. So it's just wonderful having that, and even having our partners come from Middle College, having our Sac City Vice President of Instruction come to give the students their AA degrees, or thank you to the Rotary who gives three $4,000 scholarships to our students. Just knowing that there's the support not at the schools, but there's the support in the community, just is what makes everything so special. And then I just also want to highlight and thank staff who are officially on vacation, but they are actually working because they are at summer conferences. And so we had the Unbound Ed Conference this week from Monday through Thursday, or today in the Bay Area. We had 14 staff members in attendance, 3 admin and 11 teachers who were in deep learning for 4.5 days. And the excitement, and I was able to attend yesterday and this morning just to hear the debrief, and they're showing me the list of ideas that they already have and want to be part of trainings, and they're ready to facilitate, and they want to build capacity. It just, that for me fills my cup. That it's worth the drive for one day, and just grateful for that level of commitment that's not always seen by the public. What do our teachers do during the summer? Yes, we want them to get the break, but because they are so committed, they also want to get some professional learning in when they actually have some think time to absorb it and think about how they're going to implement it. And then next week, we have the AVID conference. It is from Monday to Wednesday, I believe, here in Sacramento. And we have 35 staff members who have signed up for that particular conference. So just, again, the level of commitment and excitement about learning and the benefit of the summer PD opportunities is that it also allows our team to collaborate and meet with other educators and professionals who, most of it is within the state of California, but you're hearing from your peers in other districts. So you're able to hear someone else's best practices or what strategy that someone else used. And so it really expands out of, the people you talk to on a daily basis for 180 days. You get to talk to somebody else in the summer, and that really opens the mind and helps us to think about what are the pivots that we can make to support our students differently, because everyone is working hard. But as we look at our data, we all understand there are things that we could do even better. And that just means having a growth mindset and thinking about the students that you have in front of you today. Even for those of us who have been in education for a very long time, like myself, I always think about every year, it's a new group. And so a strategy that I might have learned when I first got my teaching credential, that may have worked for the group of students I had at that time, but the group of students now might need something different. And so that is why professional development or professional learning is so important, because it makes sure that the strategies that we're doing serve the students who are in front of us today. So I just want to highlight and say thank you and kudos that they're willing to go. And I told the group at Unbound Ed, I do want to make sure they get some time off. And they said that's why they're doing it now. Why they're still in the mode, because last Thursday was the last day, so they're still okay. They said now by July, yeah, I think I'll take some breaks. So it's been a really, really good ending to the school year, and that's it for me.
Thank you. And Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Sure, thank you. I love when my worlds collide. You know, my heart is here. It's also with students I serve in another district, and I will also be at that AVID conference. So I'm really excited about it. It's my first time going. So, and I, on recent visits to some of our school sites, principals had told me that one of the biggest factors in moving the needle at their school site was AVID. And so it's exciting to know that we're sending so many people there. I do not have any updates from committees, but I do want to acknowledge, of course, all of our promotions and graduations, and it's always a gift that we spend a lot of time together during that time. And I went to the kindergarten. I was able to go to multiple of the kindergarten pieces, and it was very emotional to go from that to all of our kids that are going into adulthood. And it's just really special. What a gift to serve students from when they first enter our doors as little learners all the way until adulthood. So really appreciated that time to celebrate across the district. Barry Kalar was he's the first police chief in West Sacramento, and he was also a trustee of Washington Unified from 2004 to 2008, and he recently passed away. And thing about Mr. Kalar is he was also so involved with our community, very rooted in Rotary. The last time I saw him and spoke to him was at one of our giveaways, and he was there with Rotary doing the work. And so they're having a celebration of life for him at Jackrabbit on July 15th at 4 p.m. And if it's okay with my colleagues, I thought I would maybe send some flowers on behalf of the Board of Trustees, thanking him for since he did have time as a trustee in the district as well. Okay. And then I want to acknowledge Pride Month, and as it says on our communication that went out, Washington Unified is proud to celebrate the resilience, courage, and diversity of the LGBTQ+ community. And I'm so grateful for all of the safe spaces that we have across our district for our students and for our families who are members of the LGBTQ+ community. And I wanted to bring to light that in my neighborhood, I know this has happened with two of my neighbors, had their pride flag stolen from their front yards, and in one case burned. And this is the first time that I can think of in West Sacramento that something has so blatantly has been happening during the day. And so I wanted to call that out. I'm proud of our district. I'm proud of how that we support our students and our families. And it's really a call to action for our community as well, who's come together and stood up, of course, against that hate. But it's really unacceptable, obviously, to steal people's property, and the message so much further that it is sending of a hate crime, truly. And I'm just really sad to see that, and I'm really grateful for the work of this district to uplift our communities. And for me, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Wong.
Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of low energy just because for transparency, I will be facing a medical condition, and you may not see me for a bit. People always wonder. I thought I'd just share. And you may be seeing my name often come up in the So I'll put that out there. I will not tell you what it is. My colleagues do know. Yeah, I think promotions and graduations are a really great reminder of our why. All my little soccer babies who graduated, like Girl Scout, 5 8th grade graduations in one day. Thank you for those who are understanding that there are more schools than trustees, and somehow all the promotions are all at the same time. But we do support you all, and we are there in spirit, regardless of whether or not we can stay the whole time, or we're staying half an hour to hand out flyers at the end. But it actually was really special to see two of my colleagues hug and give pecks on the cheek for the children who were promoting or graduating. That was special, for sure. Again, a good reminder of how we serve it all as moms and parents of this district, and so we take the work extremely seriously, even when we're not, physically present here. That said, I thank you, Trustee Kirby Gonzalez, in terms of Pride Month. I think it's an interesting time. Definitely about what's happening, and really proud of our district. I've always been proud of our district for being extremely inclusive and honoring everybody, welcoming everybody into our, into our district. So appreciate that. And with that, I will kind of move on, just because I am very low energy.
All right, Clerk Hunt.
I echo what Dr. Hildreth and my fellow trustees have said about all the celebrations and Pride Month, and I have nothing else to add tonight.
All right.
Thank you.
Vice President Castro.
Woohoo, we're keeping it moving. I don't have any updates either, other than you guys already saw the finance subcommittee met. We went over the information on that, and I also echo all of the congratulations on the graduations and promotions and on to the next chapter of these students' lives. And that's it.
Thank you. Definitely will be sounding like a broken record. I will have to say, this year as a trustee has been absolutely by far the best one that I've ever had. Regardless of, it just so happened like everything, there was some of our moments and chaos, but it was still good. Because I always try to look at the silver lining, and I always try to look at the positive. I swear I come into this room and I'm hyped up to go, because if I don't get myself in that zone, then I'll just go and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I checked out. But these promotions, I saw my niece promote from from kindergarten, and then I had my other niece promote from 8th grade, and now she's going into high school, and then my own son walking across the stage and being able to hand him his diploma. That by far was something that I never in 1,000 years expected that I was going to get to do that. And that the fact that there was an opportunity and I'd be able to do it, it meant a lot. And then of course seeing all the kids, I was like, I watch you on Facebook. I'm not like creepy like that, but your mom posts a lot about you, so that's how I know you. But I mean, that's all I gotta say. That's a creeper, I know. It's like, well, she posts it, I just like it. I'm like, oh, keep going. But other than that, beautiful all around. Just seeing all of the parents. I will say I was nervous up there. I may not have sounded it, but I was nervous. I was like, okay, this is, I think I overheard one of the principals was like, we were waiting for you to crack, but you didn't. And I said, I know, I was determined not to. I do not show my emotions. On that note, I have nothing more to say. Just looking forward to good, restful summer for staff and faculty and staff, because I know y'all definitely deserve it. All right, well, on that, we're moving on to future board agenda items. We have our board governance handbook committee meeting on here. Are there any other items that we are aware of?
I have one.
Yes.
I'd like to put on the policy committee intra and inter-district transfer policy, specifically thinking about priority placement for our employees.
I'm not sure if this is policy of the board. I would like the board to consider just endorsing the CSBA as SOS policies, legislative policies. And I think a lot of you have been on the email chains about what that is in terms of making sure that the state, we're always accountable to the state, and, all these reports, but making sure that the state is actually supportive of school districts and holding the state accountable to us.
Can you remind me, Jackie, is there a specific resolution that we adopt for that?
There's a
Okay,
resolution.
good.
I'm happy to share it
Thank
if
you.
you guys want to look at it at policy
yeah.
first. Sorry, I
Great.
haven't meant clearly in my mouth.
That was me earlier, so I get it. Okay, so these were for policy. That one was also for
Yeah.
sub-policy,
Yes.
and then, okay. Okay. Are there any other ones? I don't know if it might be, I guess this next question or comment, I'm not sure how touchy it is, but have we ever thought about the district lines? And, or not district, but the boundaries?
Recently?
You're talking about enrollment, not talking.
No, not district, sorry. I'm talking like within like the boundaries of areas and like where certain
I think we thought
kids go to certain
was-
schools. Yeah, okay, I was like,
There
I
were
don't know
times
what
where,
it's called.
our kindergartners, we were getting a lot of students that were being like waitlisted and moved to other schools. And so there was a lot of time where we're like, we're going to have to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. But then I know things have changed.
Acknowledging. Sorry, school boundaries are definitely, and I think long overdue.
I'm just saying, I mean, we know, I know that our north schools won't go any further than the river, but I know that our south schools, we are expanding further south. So is there a time or a moment when we would begin to talk about the lines?
I think it's probably good.
Yes, that's why I was like, I don't know if I should put it on here, but I definitely want to make sure that we somehow, some way, start beginning that conversation.
So we can provide an update about boundaries that we have in the last few months received the enrollment study from the demographer. And based on that, we can think about when boundary discussion needs to happen and share that information with you.
That would be great. Okay. All right. So we got those two items added for future board agenda items. Nothing else? Enjoy the World Cup, y'all. Mexico already won. Okay, on that note, adjourn.